just flag it.
Um, let's see. On my side, it looks like it's streaming,
Okay, well,
and
clearly some
we've got
impermanence going on there.
yeah, we've got some viewers there. I see. So, yeah, it's streaming.
Okay, good stuff. So, our first question comes from Judith. She asks, sometimes I fall asleep during meditation. Is it better to move slightly during meditation in order to avoid falling asleep?
You can. You can also change positions. You can move to walking meditation or standing meditation. You can change your position that way. And if you look in chapter 11 of the book, Developing a Life Practice, I have a little subsection in there about sleepiness and how to actually address that. And the best way is to either just go to sleep because your mind needs rest and pick up meditation another time, or if you're interested in maintaining your meditation session, then you can switch to walking or standing position.
As a follow-up, David, how much effort should we be putting into meditation generally? Because sometimes you hear teachers encouraging you to really strive through meditation. There's stories of certain Ajahns who maybe meditate all night long. I know this is the case in Theravada and also Zen. This is not unheard of. At what point should we just listen to the body's physiological needs and put those first?
Yeah, I've never needed to do a meditation session longer than probably about an hour, or maybe a slightly over an hour. And as most of you know, I don't actually time meditation, right? Because what I found is when I set an alarm, either I fell short of that alarm and then my mind felt guilty and shameful that I did that and kind of beat myself up about it. Or I sat there in meditation kind of craving, right? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? Is it time yet? And one of the main goals of meditation is to eliminate this craving, desire, attachment. So by setting an alarm, it actually created an aspect of the mind where I started craving. And then there was actually another situation where I found that oftentimes I would set an alarm, I would be meditating really deep in meditation, and then the alarm would go off. And I don't actually even set an alarm to see how long, but every once in a while, like now that we're meditating online, which I haven't done before, and I'm sitting in front of a clock, so I'm kind of looking every once in a while when we finish our meditation, and it seems like it's somewhere between 30 minutes to an hour is what we meditate. And that's been sufficient for me for 1, 2, 3 times a day. The closer to 3 times a day that I do, and the closer to 30 minutes and beyond is what I noticed is the most beneficial, because the benefits of meditation are cumulative. So if you think of like having an empty bucket and you're filling up this bucket with water, each time you meditate, you're like scooping water into this bucket. So if you did one session that was like 10 hours long, and then after that you did like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes all the time, it's like for those 10 hours, you were scooping a bunch of water in your bucket, and then the other subsequent meditation sessions, you're just scooping a little bit of water. So what I found is a better approach, rather than having these big, enormous meditation sessions and then kind of not as much at other times, is just to be dedicated, consistent, gradual approach where, for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 1, 2, 3 times a day, you're progressing through your meditation practice. And I think the most ideal for a household practitioner is twice a day, morning and evening, and at least 30 minutes if you can build up to that. But everybody starts wherever they start. Some people start at 5 or 10 minutes per session. But then if you can work on expanding that. But if you strive so much in meditation and you're really pushing yourself, then this can be craving, desire, attachment. And I know of monks that are enlightened, and it's wonderful that they're enlightened, but they actually meditated for 7 days straight in a cave without going to the bathroom, without eating, without drinking, without sleeping. But that particular monk, he has a hard time walking now because of his legs, and he's kind of destroyed the physical body. And nothing about this practice is about destroying the physical body. or putting yourself into pain. So if you ever feel pain, just adjust your hip, adjust your knee, or kind of and just stop and just take an approach where maybe you sit in a chair. So for a long time I meditated on the floor, which I still do, but I require a lot of pillows under my rear because about a year and a half ago I had a motorbike accident and I can no longer sit just flat on the floor the way I used to. And this is just the impermanent nature of the human body. And we've got to accept that and ensure that we're taking care of this physical body, because that's one of the things that the Buddha taught, is taking care of this physical body, because without this physical body, the mind can't reside in this world. So therefore, we can't train the mind. So we need to take care of this physical body and ensure it's healthy so that the mind will remain in this world and we actually have time to train it during things like meditation.
Right, thank you, David. That makes sense. Okay, so we have a question from Deborah. She asks, is it normal to feel lightheaded coming out of meditation?
Yes, this is something that can happen as you start getting closer and closer to the jhanas, which are the four kind of deep levels of meditation and deep focus and concentration, not only in meditation but outside of meditation. These are kind of like precursors to enlightenment itself. But as you're meditating, things are changing, things are shifting. And what they've shown through research is, of course, the mind is not the brain, but the brain is not the mind either. But what does happen is there's some kind of connection there. So as you're actually training the mind in meditation and through these teachings, there's actual physical changes that are happening in the brain. And this happens as early as a 2-week period. So if you didn't do any meditation your entire life and you started meditating, within about 2 weeks, they've been able to see that there's physical changes to the brain through CAT scans and things like this. So there's physical changes going on. And if you've been meditating, like I know you, Deborah, you've been part of this program for at least 6 months or so. And if you're meditating more and more frequently, where you've maybe started out with just 5 minutes once a day, you're not going to really notice much. But if you get up to 30 minutes a session or more, and you're doing it twice a day, you're going to notice some physical changes and things like feeling dizzy or lightheaded. But these things are all impermanent. This is just the physical brain changing in the mind, in the body. And if you're interested in learning about this, you can go into YouTube and search for neuroplasticity regarding meditation, or neuroscience and meditation, or neuroscience and enlightenment. There's actually scientists that understand enlightenment, and they're actually researching the physical brain and how the physical brain changes through the course of training in meditation. And ultimately, when someone attains enlightenment, their brain has physically changed. And once it physically changes, it never reverts back to the way it was before. They've studied that aspect of it too. This goes along with what Gautama Buddha was saying about enlightenment is permanent in this unshakable mind. So once the mind goes from this unenlightened condition with this unenlightened brain, and it's trained to move to this enlightened mind with this enlightened brain, we know that it's permanent. And there's actually scientific evidence now in this field of neuroscience and neuroplasticity that shows that the physical changes to the brain for someone who's meditating and ultimately potentially attains enlightenment, those changes in the brain are actually permanent as well. So you might feel this lightheadedness, you might feel even a little bit of nausea. Some people talk about feeling their head kind of expanding and getting really big and large, like the size of an elephant. And this is just the changes in the mind and that are affecting the changes in the brain. And after all these changes slowly start taking effect, eventually you won't feel that lightheadedness anymore. You won't feel the same effect. But the fact that you are feeling it means that everything's going right. It's going well. That's exactly what you would like to experience. And that shows that the mind is starting to gradually awaken if you're experiencing some of these symptoms.
Okay, thank you, David. We have no more questions at this time.
Okay, well, I'll just invite you guys then to go ahead and take your meditation position. If you're on the floor, you probably would like to put some cushions under your rear. If you're in a chair, you probably just want to sit flat and put your feet flat on the floor or cross your legs. This isn't about everybody being in exactly the same position. Cushions under your rear, that helps to release the pressure at the hips, so it lessens the angle at the hips. And if you're going to cross your legs, be sure to don't cross them really, really tightly into your body, because that's going to inhibit the circulation. You would like to keep the circulation flowing in the lower body. Then the upper body should be nice and erect, with the spine nice and erect, because that's going to engage the mind. We would like to keep the mind active and attentive during this meditation session. So if you're just relaxed on the couch and laying back and so comfortable, the mind's going to have a tendency to turn off. So you really need to get into a position where you can have a nice erect spine, which is going to engage the muscles, which will ultimately keep the mind more active and engaged. The hands and the arms, there's lots of different options here. The Buddha placed his right hand on top of the left with his thumbs together. And if this works for you, placing that in your lap, then you can do that. But not everybody's going to feel comfortable with that. And the goal isn't for everyone to do exactly what Gautama Buddha did, because that's permanence. It's impossible. So if that feels comfortable for you, use it. But if it doesn't, put your hands perhaps flat on your lap, put them on your knee, put them on the armrest of your chair, put them with the palms up. There's lots of different options here. My role as a meditation teacher and a teacher, you find what's most comfortable for you, but ensure that your meditation position isn't luxurious. Okay? Because if it's luxurious, then the mind's going to have a tendency to turn off and unengage. So comfortable, but not luxurious. So next, just kind of close the eyes. You want to establish a nice, steady, consistent breath. In through the nose and out through the nose. Breathing in and out. I'd like you to focus the mind on the breath, the sound of the breath, or the sensation of the air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. So focus the mind on the breath. Establish a nice, steady, consistent breath, breathing in. Just observe the breath. You're just kind of getting started here, just to kind of bring awareness of mind to the breath. I'm going to do some chanting to kind of ease us into meditation a bit, and then I'm going to come back with some more guidance. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Ato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipano Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Saṅghang Namami. Namo tassa bhagavato อะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธโนสัคขะโตโรกาวิตูอนุเตโรภูริสาตามาสติสัตตาตาวามานุสนังพุทโธภควาติ Should be breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. We're doing breathing mindfulness in and out. Focus the mind on the breath, the sound of the breath, or the sensation of the air moving over the skin into the nose. This is the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. The mind can reside in the present moment, peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. So bring the mind to the breath, the present moment, focusing only on the breath, breathing in and out. And out. As the mind goes to the past or to the future, wherever you notice that, just cut it off, let it go, and bring the mind to the breath. You haven't done anything wrong. No need to feel guilty that the mind has wandered. That's what the unenlightened mind does. But wherever you notice that, let it go, cut it off, and focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. If there's any thoughts, ideas, or perceptions, cut those off, let them go, and bring the mind back to the breath. No need to judge the thoughts, no need to label them, no need to even try to figure out where they're from. That's just the unenlightened mind wanting to take you on a journey. But now, you're going to train the mind to focus on the breath so that you can control the mind. So just let them go. Breathing in and out. Breathing in. Your mind's even going to want to hold on to my voice, but we're not interested in that happening. So I'm going to be quiet and just sit here and meditate with you. And then I'll be back with loving kindness meditation. So you need to let go of everything, including the sound of my voice, to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to train the mind. Just let it all go and focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Now we'll move into our loving kindness meditation. When you hear me speak the affirmation, repeat this in the mind. Here you're cultivating active goodwill towards all beings without judgment. Breathing in and out. May I be peaceful. May I be safe. May I be well. May I be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May we be peaceful. May we be safe. May we be well. May we be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May all fathers around the world be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May all mothers throughout the world be peaceful. May they, may they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May all children throughout the world be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May all families, wherever they are, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. May all those who are alone and lonely without a family be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. Beings, past, present, and future, be peaceful. May they be safe. May they be well. May they be free of all discontentedness and the suffering it causes. Continue with breathing mindfulness meditation, cutting off the thoughts, letting them go, breathing in and out. อะระหังสวาโหตังมหากวันหังอภิวาเตมิสวากขาโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมตามังนามาสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนับโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสัคขะโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรภูริสาตามาสติสัตตาตาวามานุสนังพุทโธภควาติ Okay, you guys can start to slowly come out of meditation now. What we all just did is very beneficial for the mind and therefore beneficial for your life. This is something that you should dedicate yourself to every day. Of course, there's going to be the occasional day where you might forget, or you might be too tired, or you might be sick, or you might be hurt. That's impermanence. There'll be a day here or there that you're not able to meditate. But the goal is to meditate every day. That's the goal. At least do breathing mindfulness meditation, and then where you're able, you can do loving kindness meditation as well as part of your practice. Add that in. Dedicated, purposeful training session of the mind. A lot of times nowadays people feel that if they go running, they're meditating, or if they go for a drive, they're meditating, or if they're gardening, they're meditating. While this is healthy for the mind to relax the mind, it's not actually meditation. Meditation is this active, dedicated, purposeful, independent training session where we're either eliminating certain qualities from the mind or we're cultivating certain qualities in the mind. And that's meditation. So we need to do this every day as a part of our training, this daily, consistent training, along with learning and practicing all the other teachings. So dedicate yourself to doing this. And if you can only get 5 or 10 minutes sometimes, then that's okay. Or if other times you get 45 minutes or an hour, that's okay. whatever works. But the closer you get to 30 minutes and beyond, you'll see more progress. And the closer you get to 2 or 3 times a day, you'll see more progress. Not only in your meditation, but in your daily life. You'll see this anger go down to frustration, irritation, annoyance, maybe this slight little dislike. And then eventually, you won't have any of that whatsoever as you work towards this goal. So by you learning and practicing the teachings, you'll just move along this path at a better and better pace. But still, you're pursuing enlightenment as a goal, an objective, or an interest. If you just want it so bad, or you crave it so bad, it's going to cause discontentedness in the mind, and you'll never be able to attain enlightenment that way. You have to even eliminate the craving, the desire, the attachment, that strong, gradually progress towards it and know that you're headed in the right direction, because you notice that the condition of the mind's improving. And that's how you know you're headed in the right direction. So no need to crave it, no need to desire it, no need to be attached in your mind that you're headed in the right direction. Things are improving each day, each week, each month. You're headed in the right direction. And that's all. So what questions do you guys have, either on meditation or the Buddhist teachings or anything that's coming up in your life that you'd like to talk about? Let me know what questions you have.
We have a question from Amina. First of all, she says, Happy Father's Day, David.
Oh, thank you.
A question. When we find the mind holding on to thoughts more than focused on the breath during some meditation sessions, what can we do to improve cutting thoughts with mindfulness?
Just keep at it and keep your sessions going, 2, 3 per day. And if you need more, there was times when I meditated 5, 6, times a day in some situations. And that was what I needed at that particular time. So just stick with it and continue to expand it longer and longer. You're going to have times where your mind is just stuck on a particular thought and you just can't let it go. And it's going to take 2, 3 days, 3, 4, 5 sessions, and eventually it will let go, because we know it's impermanent. It's know with awareness of mind that the mind's still holding on to thoughts. There's not complete stillness and peacefulness in the mind during meditation yet. And that's okay. That's just where you are right now. So don't crave something different than that. Just recognize it for what it is and just stay dedicated to the practice and consistency to keep meditating each day.
In addition to our dedicated meditation sessions each day, David, would you ever recommend at certain points we might just settle in for 30 seconds or 10 seconds or even one breath? Is that something you've ever found useful, just to cut up the day?
Yeah, like if there's this particular thing in the past where it was very difficult, and if you've been meditating regularly in these dedicated sessions for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, or even 20 minutes or what have you, if you've been doing this regularly and training the mind to let go, but you're still not enlightened yet, then in daily life, if something comes up, someone cuts you off in traffic, or you get a bad phone call and you get bad news, or you get a ticket in the mail from the police because they've got those cameras now, and you get a ticket and you're like, what am I going to do? I don't really have any money. You can just close the eyes and just let it go. Even if it's just that 10 seconds, like you said, or one breath, or 30 seconds. Because if you've done the work in meditation to train the mind to let thoughts go, and you've done that consistently over a longer and longer period of time, focus on the breath, you can actually use that to your advantage when you feel a little bit of anger arising, or a little bit of frustration or irritation, because the mind's not quite enlightened yet, but you're on the way. So what you can do is apply that right effort, that 6th step of the Eightfold Path is abandoning unwholesome mental qualities and arising wholesome mental qualities. So with awareness of mind, which is that 7th step, mindfulness, awareness of mind, if you get a ticket in the mail from the police and you're like, whoa, $200, I only have $50 in my bank account, and you start feeling some frustration and pressure and stress arise, no reason to get stressed about it. That's not going to fix anything. Just set it down. Just breathe in and out, in and out. And because you've done that so well consistently over multiple meditation sessions, you'll be able to more readily let those things go. You can even get to the point where you can start feeling stress in the mind starting to arise, and you can just close the mind and you can actually feel the mind cutting the attachment and eliminating the attachment. The Buddha called this maturing in release. That when you develop your practice well enough, all of these accumulated benefits, they mature in release. So you're releasing this stress, you're releasing this burden, you're releasing the attachments, and you can actually feel the stress just completely lift from the mind. And you may have felt this even before. As soon as the mind lets it go, boom, it like leaves you in an instant. And you can oftentimes feel this when you're looking at a ticket in the mail, or you get bad news, or something starts to arise in the mind, maybe jealousy or resentment. You can actually feel, you can have mindfulness, awareness of mind so deep that you can actually feel the moment you eliminate the attachment, and then poof, the stress or whatever discontent feeling that had arise, you can actually feel it eliminate, right? Let go. And the Buddha called this maturing in release. In release. Not end, but in release. So all of these teachings mature in release. And you can feel the pressure release from the mind, the discontentedness release from the mind.
Does this mean, David, that if we do get a speeding ticket from the police, that we shouldn't blame the police for making us angry?
Yeah, it's not the police. Let's say the camera was broken because of impermanence. And let's say that you got the ticket and you actually are right that it is that you didn't run the red light, for example. And it was just that the technology was broken because of impermanence. Even in that situation, if you get angry, it's still you're causing it yourself. Either the ego wants to be right, or you're attached to money, having craving or attachment to money, or some other thing, or maybe like you don't have much time right now to actually go to the government and actually sort this out, and you're craving and having this eagerness, strong eagerness to get certain things done. There's some craving, desire, attachment somewhere that you're longing and having this strong eagerness for, and it may be more than one. And even if it's a ticket that is wrong and it's not accurate, if you get angry at it or you get frustrated at it, you're causing it yourself. It wasn't caused by the technology. It wasn't caused by the police. It's caused by your mind not being trained to recognize, impermanence. The camera was broken. I didn't run the red light. This is a ticket. This ticket is impermanent. I can go down to the government building and I can sort this out. All I got to do is go down there, talk polite, talk kind, talk friendly, talk respectful, help them. And, or I was, all the way in the middle of the intersection by the time the light turned red or whatever it was. I can clearly show this to a judge or to a clerk or to a policeman, and I can get this resolved. No reason to get frustrated and irritated about it, because if I walk down there to the government building and start spouting off with anger and hostility to people, that's not going to help anything. So what these teachings do is it provides you this ability to maintain your calmness, maintain your contentedness, even in situations where the ticket is an illegitimate ticket, and you can walk down and you can sort this out. Technology was broken, you were correct, but rather than allow the ego to come into it and hostility and harsh words, you can use all these different aspects of the Buddhist teachings to practice right view, which is accept responsibility for it, your own emotions, practice right intention, which is harmlessness and not interested to cause harm, practice right speech, which is practicing those 5 factors of well-spoken speech, practice all the other teachings, which includes loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, keeping the mind calm and composed even during difficult situations, getting rid of the ego, eliminating that ego and that self. And when you gather up all of these teachings of the Buddha, you can get at something like an illegitimate ticket, and you can just politely smile, walk down to the courthouse or wherever you need to go and solve it, and no big deal, and you're not stressed about it. And it turns out wonderfully because people will listen to you because you're calm and you're respectful and you're polite. This is the Kama. Action, result, cause and effect. Essentially the result of your decisions. If we go down there being rude and hostile and difficult and vindictive and resentful, it's not going to turn out well because we made the choice to go down there and be that way. Whereas if we choose to go down to the government building and be polite, kind, friendly, respectful, it's going to turn out well. Because there's going to be people there that are going to look at the ticket, look at the pictures. They're going to see the same exact thing you see, that, yeah, you actually were fine. That's not an illegal thing. We must have a broken, camera or broken technology. They're going to see the same thing you see, and you're going to get it solved. It's just going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, and you can get it resolved. So no need to allow the mind to become unraveled just because of a simple ticket.
Right, yeah, thank you. And loving kindness meditation easier to do than breathing mindfulness?
I think the reason why, Neil, is because loving kindness meditation has this affirmation and something that the mind's actually doing as part of the meditation. I mean, there's something that you're doing during breathing mindfulness meditation too, but with loving kindness meditation, there's my voice, there's like guidance, you can hear it, your mind is kind of fixated to that voice, where with breathing mindfulness meditation, it's just complete quiet, and you're just sitting there with your thoughts. We're all beings without judgment. Sometimes the most challenging meditation is when you're completely quiet and you're left with your own thoughts. There's people here in Thailand that'll go meditate in caves. They'll go like for 10 hours or 24 hours into caves, and it's just complete quiet. And I've never actually done that, but people tell me that that's actually the most challenging type of meditation, where oftentimes people think that they get disturbed when they hear like little sounds of traffic or their neighbors next door or something like this, or their child, something like this can be problematic for their meditation. In reality, from what I instill, that's the most challenging. But with loving kindness meditation, there's this voice where I'm speaking, and there's this affirmation, and there's something for the mind to do other than sit with its own thoughts. So that's probably why loving kindness is easier for you right now. But that tells you that you need to do more breathing mindfulness meditation as well, and keep at that, because it is challenging for the mind and the mind doesn't like it. You're going to perhaps either want to run away from that and not do it, or what you should do is instead to train it to actually do that, right? So anytime you see something that the mind doesn't like, you need to, instead walking away from it, actually walk towards it, so that you can actively train the mind to be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy in any and all situations. So wherever you discover that the mind doesn't like something, should be an indicator for you. Aha, I need to walk towards that. So if you notice like the mind doesn't like to be in large crowds, like at a mall or something, then you need to put the mind in that situation and get it comfortable in large crowds. Or if your mind doesn't like being alone and going to the mall by yourself, then you need to do that and put it in that situation until it feels comfortable. Or if your mind doesn't like to be around kids, which I don't know, that's not true because you have kids, but anytime you see something where the mind's like, I don't like that, well, that's going to cause aversion, where the mind's going to want to push it away. So you need to do just the opposite, is walk towards it and train the mind to reside peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy in that situation. And that's what an enlightened mind does. is it's always going to be peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy in any and all situations. So where you uncover these little places where the mind isn't peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy, that's where you would like to walk towards that situation and train the mind to reside in that situation, peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy.
We have a follow-up from Neil. Would it be fair to say aversion is a form of grasping?
I sometimes talk about it that way, although aversion has its own unique qualities, right? So craving, desire, attachment, or this grasping that you talk about is the mind having this longing with a strong eagerness to hold on to things or grasp for things or look externally for satisfaction. That's grasping or craving, desire, attachment. This hatred, anger, ill will, or aversion is pushing things away from you because you're trying to create this bubble that you feel is like a perfect, peaceful bubble. And when something comes into your bubble that you disagree with, you push it away and you erect a wall. This is aversion. But oftentimes I talk about it as it's essentially craving for a certain peacefulness. So you can look at it as this grass, kind of erect a wall around you, and you kind of push things out of your way. And oftentimes the mind becomes hostile and angry and aggressive when there's aversion involved. So while it is kind of a grasping or craving for a certain peacefulness that the mind's looking for, it has these other aspects to it that makes it unique. So that's why it's part of that second poison of hatred, anger, ill will, or aversion.
We have a question from Amina. Should we see that as impermanence as well? Or is it better to let go?
Personally, because you're never going to exist in a world where all people tell the truth all the time. So if you allow the mind to become angry or frustrated or irritated or even annoyed at somebody lying to you, then your mind is still craving permanence. You're still craving for everyone to always tell the truth. And this is the primary problem that the Buddha discovered. So when somebody tells you a lie, you've just got to recognize that for what it is, which is they're lacking the wisdom to know that they shouldn't tell lies. Or if they have that wisdom, they're lacking the self-control of the mind to not who you are. It's just that they've chosen to lie. And you can't allow your mind to get irritated every time somebody tells a lie, or else your mind is still attached. Your mind is still craving, desiring, attached to this permanence. And every time someone tells a lie, you're just going to get irritated all the time. So this can be partially the ego as well. Amina, I know you've been looking at that recently. It can be the ego, especially if it's your child lying. You can feel like, how dare her? Like, I'm her mom. Like, I would never lie to her. Like, how can she lie to me? Like, oh my goodness, they're trying to pull the wool over my eyes. Or even if it's a friend or a family member, you can take it more personally. So if there's already craving, desire, attachment in the relationship to like a child or a family member or a partner, and they lie to you, it can actually cause the mind to become discontent even more because there's other craving, desires, attachments there. Where if it was a stranger walking down the street that lied to you, it probably wouldn't have the same effect. Where someone who you're already in an existing relationship with, who you have existing craving, desire, attachment to, that lie can actually be more impactful. So it's important that you not only look at the craving, desire, attachment that the mind craves permanence, that everyone tells you the truth, but look at the other attachments that are involved there too, which could potentially be attachment to that person or the relationship, or there may be some ego in there as well.
I have a question. When we practice breathing mindfulness meditation, should the intention be more about abandoning thoughts, letting them go, or becoming concentrated?
The concentration is kind of a byproduct of the meditation. The concentration, where it comes from, is by letting go of all these attachments and training the mind to be in the present moment. The mind becomes unburdened because carrying around craving, desire, attachment to all of these various things that the mind has, it's very burdensome on the mind. As you start eliminating these attachments in meditation and in daily, it actually becomes more concentrated as a byproduct of that. As you get more focus, you get more clarity of mind, you get more concentration, and you get deeper memory as well. And the Buddha called this laying down the burden. So it's very burdensome to the mind to carry this around. And this is why, like Deborah's question about feeling lightheaded, this is common after meditation, or even like during your day, you might feel a little bit oozy, a little bit woozy, because you're starting to let go of all of this attachment, all of this anger, all of this ignorance, all of this poisons are starting to come out of the mind, and the mind's like, whoa, I am not used to this. Like, wow, this feels kind of strange. And you kind of have to get real stable with your meditation practice and feel more stable. So the goal is to focus on the breath, Max, and there's a lot of things that are happening there when you are focused on the breath. Training the mind to be aware, so having mindfulness, you're training the mind to be in the present moment, and all of these things are promoting and creating concentration, clarity of thought, focus, and deep memory in the mind. But those are all byproducts of having trained the mind to eliminate craving, desire, attachment.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. It appears we have no more questions at this time.
Okay. Well, I'll just thank you guys for joining for today's online class, spending this Father's Day together here in Thailand. And, here in Thailand on these kind of days, we all go out and spend time with family. And in Thailand, we spend a lot of time with family. I think when I was in America, probably 95% of my life was work. And because of that, I was very, very stressed out when I lived in America. And 60% is kind of pushing it. It's kind of more like 40% is your work. And some people even 20%, where it's like 60 to 80% of your life is spending time with your family and spending time with the people that are close to you and your neighbors and people like this. And this is what the Buddha talked about as the middle way, but we talk about as a balanced lifestyle. Everybody talks about a balanced lifestyle in the world. A lot of people do, but we don't really define what is a balanced lifestyle. Well, a balanced lifestyle to me is that the first priority for all of us should be that we focus on training the mind. That should be the first priority for everybody. Every individual should make that a priority and be dedicated to training the mind. Because if that's not going well, then your whole life, everything feels horrible when the mind isn't well trained and it's cluttered or it's stressful or it's experiencing this discontentedness. We've got to make that a first priority, is training the mind. Then we've got to take care of our physical health. Because if the physical body isn't healthy, then the mind doesn't have a place to reside. So we've got to take care of that physical health, making sure that we eat well, that we sleep well, that we drink water, that we have the mind and the physical body will give you what you need here right now in this vessel, in this kind of shell of a body, to ensure that you're taking care of the mind and the physical body. Then the third priority for us should be our families, spending time with our life partner, our children, our friends, our mother, our father. And you see that a lot here in Thailand, people spending time with their families, because that's really what life's truly about, is being able to spend time with people that are close to you and that you care about. And then the fourth priority is work. Truly, the fourth priority is work. That's where we earn our money and we use that money to sustain our life. But where a lot of us are taught, and we get this wrong, is we often put the work first. And then because we put the work first, then we put everyone else first after that, then we put ourselves after everybody else. So typically the way that we organize our life in the Western world is it's work, everybody else, and then us. And then that's why we end up feeling empty, and we end up feeling lost, and we feel like, like I just feel so tired all the time, right? I remember those days. But if you reprioritize this and you make training the mind, your number one priority, keeping your mental health as a priority, making your physical health a priority, making time with your family and spending time with the people close to you a priority, and then make sure that you're working and maintaining an income to sustain all of what you're doing in your life, then you've got a really balanced life. And anything else you do beyond these four are the way that I suggest that people prioritize their life. And by doing it that way, you ensure that you're working towards developing this middle way in this balanced life where you can reside in the world peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. But if you make this mental health the very last priority on your list, how could you ever attain a peaceful, calm, serene, and content mind with joy if that's your last priority? That's got to be your first priority. Because if your mind is peaceful, you're going to make better decisions with your family and your loved ones, and you're going to have deeper, stronger relationships, and you're going to have more people around you to help you when you need help in this life. And then, of course, that's going to move into your professional life and your work as well. And you're going to be better at work when your mental health, physical health, and your family are well. If your family aren't well, it's going to be hard for you to perform at work. So you've got to take care of the mind, the body, and your family, and then ensure that you have an income to sustain your life. This is a balanced lifestyle. And meditation is an important part of that mental health, that very first priority to dedicate yourself to. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you tomorrow if you join for Eliminating Fears. Are you really scared? We're going to be talking about how to eliminate fears. And then on Wednesday, we're going to be talking about chanting and teaching chanting. And then on Saturday, we'll do some more meditation again together. So have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow at the same time, 9 o'clock Thai time, or whatever time that is in your neck of the woods. Have a lovely day. Sawadee krap. Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.